Hi and welcome to this video tutorial which is designed to help you with the creation of your database for your GCSE ICT CA2 controlled assessment coursework. So in this video we're going to be looking at how to use a calculated field, how to set up validation and how to create a drop-down menu in your database. First of all, a little disclaimer: you'll see that the database I'm using here is the superhero database, not the merchandise database that you should have already set up for your coursework. If you haven't, you need to go back and do that and watch the first video. But because this is controlled assessment, I can't use the actual database to show you. What I can do is show you how to use the skills using a different database, and you can apply hopefully what you've learned to your own work. So what I'm going to do here is show you how to, first of all, how to produce something with a calculated field, and it's very possible that you're going to need a calculated field in the work that you're doing on the merchandise database for the purple spiders. So you should, when you're in your database, have something that looks like this, except for you it will have sales data in. Mine's got superhero data, and you're in the datasheet view, and what we're going to do is change the view first of all that we're looking in. So we're in the design view, and I'm going to add a field that's going to be my calculated field, and a calculated field is simply a field that gets its data by performing a calculation on the data in other fields. So the answer to that calculation will provide the data for the field. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a field called appearance fee, and I want this to be a calculated field. And you can see that as soon as I've done that, this box called an expression builder has popped up, and what this allows me to do is build the calculation I want using the fields that I've already got in my database. Now you need to have a think about what you're going to need to create for your database, if you're going to need a calculated field, and how it will make use of the data in the other fields. You might want to talk to your teacher about that. But what I'm going to talk about is how to do an appearance fee for this database here. So I've got something called appearance fee, and this is going to be based around the cost to insure plus the hero tax, and then I'm going to times 2. Okay, so notice I've used times is the star symbol, the asterisk symbol, and all I've done then, all the data for this field will consist of is the cost of the database, cost of the hero to insure, how much their hero tax is, and multiply it by 2. So if we click OK, go back to the datasheet view, save the table first, and you can see at the top there that yes, it has worked. It's worked out my appearance fee based on that. It's doubled, so that's the cost to insure plus the hero tax times 2, and it's calculated my appearance fee, so that's worked perfectly. So that's a calculated field. If you want to go back and look at that again, feel free. You might want to do that bit before you move on to the next bit, which is going to look at validation. Right, so one of the things I might feel that I need to do is to control the values that the user is putting into my database. So here for hero tax, I could put in something stupid like -300, which is a stupid amount of money, because obviously you can't have -300, and likewise a really big number like that isn't going to work either. So what I could do is build a simple validation rule for that. So I'm going to go back into my design view, and I'm going to apply a validation rule to that one. Okay, so what I need to do in order to do that, what I need to do in order to do that is go back to here, go back to the datasheet rule. I'm going to click on the field there, fields, and I've got at the end I've got validation. Now if I click validation, I've got these options here. I can field validation rule, do a message, validation rule, and validation message. I'm going to go for this one here, field validation rule, so I can stop people putting stupid values in here. So again, I click that and again the expression builder comes up. Now I think for my hero tags I'm going to say that the rule would be that they must not be able to type in a value that's that's less than or equal to 0. So sorry, I'll start again. That their expression must be greater or equal to 0, and that it must be less than equal to 200. So that means that they can't enter anything less than 0 or more than 200. And I've used, make sure you know how to use the greater than and the less than signs. Click that. What it's saying there, it says there's already a rule on that field, and will it override it? I'm just going to say yes. And now I put a rule in, and it doesn't look like anything's there. But if I now try typing in something stupid like 5,000, it pops up with a message to say that I can't do that. So I've got to put in a value that it will accept. So my rule, let's try another one, minus 50. Can I put minus 50 in? No, I can't. It's got to be greater or equal to 0 or less than 200. So I'm going to put 200 in, less or equal to 200, and that works. So now I can control any number values that somebody puts in to any cells where they can enter a value. I can't put stupid high numbers in or stupidly low numbers in. So I've added some validation. Let's just look at how I did that again. I went to validation. I made sure that in my datasheet view I clicked on fields, validation, and I went create a data validation rule. And if I want to, I could create a message that would appear as well when that rule is broken by doing that. Right, what I want to do though is move on to the last bit I want to show you, which is how to make a drop-down menu. So where you've got, if you look in your analysis sheet, it might give you an indication of the things it wants your database to be able to do. It might want a particularly simple way for the user to enter data. It might want to make the database more efficient, and you might want to think of ways that you could do that, and that might include the use of a drop-down menu. So if you look here, I've got some fields here which have the same data repeated over and over again. So I've got an example here, is I've got superhero, supervillain, team member, and those are the same values that get typed in again and again and again. So it'd be much easier to create a drop-down menu so they could choose their option from there. And it also mean there'd be less chance of the user getting the data wrong. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my design view, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto the role here, and it says short, and I'll change that from short text to lookup wizard. Okay, so then it comes up with a box that says explains what the lookup wizard does, and it will create a list of values that the user can choose from. Now I want this option because I'm going to type in a list of values that I want. I don't want to get them from somewhere else. So I click this, and you've got to be very careful when you use this. You've got to be very, very sure that what you're typing in matches the data that's in the database. If you misspell anything or use anything that's different, it's going to corrupt the data in your database. You might have some serious problems. It will stop your queries working properly. So be very, very careful that the values that you put into your lookup wizard match the existing data. So I'm going to choose, first of all, superhero, and then underneath that I'm going to put supervillain. So I'm just basically building a list, and this list is a list of acceptable values that they can choose from a drop-down menu. Supervillain, team member, and I don't know if henchman was in there, but it's only an example, so I'm going to use henchman as well. So this means that for my role field, the only acceptable values that people can choose from are these four here: superhero, supervillain, team member, and henchman. Click next. What label would you like for it? That one, I can limit the entries to the choices there, so that means you can't choose anything else. I don't want multiple values. Click finish, and hopefully that's worked. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to go back to my data sheet, and if I now go to here, and you can see what happens. If I click on role, a drop down menu appears and I can only choose one of those pieces of data for that particular field, and that's applied it to every single record. So now I can only choose that data. So that means that I've validated that field as well. It means I've restricted what the user can put in. So that explains hopefully how to do validation by using a drop-down list, validation by restricting the values that you can put into a list, which are numeric values, and validation and a calculated field which will use the data in other fields to work out the total of the data in the field that you've set up. So you might find some of that a little bit confusing. What I would do if I were you is to just use this video to do each bit a step at a time. So rewind, watch the appearance, watch the calculated field bit first, do the calculated field, then perhaps do your numeric validation, then do your drop-down list. And remember, final thing, the drop-down list will automatically work on your form as well. So when you go on to build the form, it will already be there. So rather a long video this one, but I hope it's helpful, and good luck creating your own database. And remember, be careful with the validation that you set up. Also make sure that you take screenshots of this process so that you've got evidence for your implementation log. Okay, that's all. Cheerio and good luck.